Previously on Raggedy Rants.
Right? Right?
Because the one thing I want, it's something I know I can't have.
Who you are. It's not. And everyone who knows you sees it. Everything you have ever done, the good and the bad, you have done for love. You raised your little brother for love. You fought for this whole world for love. That is
Z. It's time.
Hail you rags and riches, and welcome to Destiel Part 3. The part we've all been waiting for. The part where I honestly don't remember how I sound in the voiceover, so I might be angry. I don't think I ever yelled though, so that's good. Today is the time to spill the tea. It's the time to really just revel in the anger that I had after the finale. Because I did write this script and do the voiceovers pretty much directly after the finale was aired. So, yeah, fresh rage. Let's just jump into it. If you clicked on this video because you were on Twitter election night and saw Destiel trending, here's your explanation. When I tell you I found out about this from Instagram, I was a little all over the place to say the least. I saw this post from Misha's account, reading, "Tonight, watching Cass talk to Dean, I got lost in the story and forgot for a moment that I'm the one who plays that angel, and I thought, he's how I want to be. He's open-hearted, and he's selfless, and he's true." And I was a little confused, but I checked the comments, and it sent me into a mental spiral for 4 hours straight. Now, due to Misha's phenomenal acting, I kind of want to put the whole confession here, but for relevance and time, I'll give you a few clips instead. But I'll link to the full confession in the description below, because it is a beautiful scene. Major props to Misha.
You are the most selfless, loving human being I will ever know. But I cared about the whole world because of you. I love you.
Castiel's speech basically includes calling Dean his happiness, telling Dean he taught him how to care, telling Dean he's a wonderful man who does everything for love and deserves love, and telling him that he loves him and that just saying it gave him so much happiness that he died. All in one go. He really said, "It's time to release these pent-up feelings that I've had for years." So, Bobo Burnins, the gay man who wrote this episode, has given it to us. He's finally given it to us. And I do give props. The scene is beautiful and really doesn't give much room to say it wasn't romantic, even though some still will, despite Misha interacting with tweets that say it's real, and Bobo doing the same. That's not important. It's finally here. Yet, there's a problem. A big, gaping problem. Dean didn't have time to respond. All of it happened so fast, he didn't have the time to even process it, no doubt reciprocate. And as for his response, we get this scene. Sam's calling him here is the first thing we notice, but instead of answering, he drops his phone to the ground. And this really, honest to God, means something, because this whole show, Dean's number one priority is to soothe his brother, take care of his brother. Sam is everything to him. And yet in this moment of weakness, he doesn't pick up the phone. He drops it, and in a moment of true vulnerability, puts his head in his hands and sobs. Dean's character is not exactly the most emotionally open, he never has been, which is why this scene is so powerful on its own. It's such a big indicator on the true devastation Dean is feeling right now. He can't hide it anymore. He's so despaired that he just crumbles, and you, as the audience, can feel this deep in your skin if you've been a fan for a long time. Or even if you haven't. It's a beautiful way of saying that Dean didn't necessarily not reciprocate, but rather was so shocked that it only set in later. This scene was beautiful and dramatic and everything we needed.
No ma'am. No ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Except it wasn't. And I can hear you asking now, but see, this is great. He confessed. How could they ruin it? Oh, you sweet, sweet viewer. Do I have something to say? Needless to say, despair brought back tons and tons of viewers to Supernatural. And I mean tons of people who left like season 12 or as early as 7. All because there was a meme going around about how homophobic that confession of gay love was. View on it was a little bit complicated back then, but I'll explain that in a minute. Basically, there's this trope in TV and or film called bury your gays. The website, referred to as tvtropes.org, explained it as such. This trope is the presentation of deaths of LGBT characters, where these characters are nominally able to be viewed as more expendable than their heterosexual counterparts. In this way, the death is treated as exceptional in its circumstances. In my understandings, the Supernatural fandom, and many more, were referring to the fact that Destiel, an angel in a male form, confessed his gay love to Dean, another man, and then promptly died.
Get him!
Which was, and still is, a very valid point, because it is really what happened. I myself, at the time, thought it was so ridiculous that they could do something so incredibly homophobic in 2020. They had to resolve this, right? There were 2 last episodes, and one of them was a 2-hour event finale. There's plenty of time to fix this. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I was really shocked by that scene and thought maybe, just maybe, they could pull the rug out from under me again. Maybe I was expecting too little of them. I mean, I still knew the writers were cowards, so I didn't expect any kiss scenes or anything truly physical. And to be honest, I didn't want it to be. Their relationship felt mature enough, and I was holding on so tight from what little we could get that I was asking for anything. Dean reciprocating, Dean not reciprocating, Dean telling Sam about what happened, Dean hunting to get Cass back, like he always did. All they needed was to give me a scene to imply to, a scene where I could imagine that Dean said something. Yet, Inherit the Earth, 1519, came by, and Castiel was mentioned 3 times. Did he show up? No. Did they save him? Oddly enough, also no. But then I thought, oh well, they killed the crazy baddie. But they have a whole finale left. It's like a 2-hour event. They have to get Cass back there, right? And then Doomsday came. The last episode of Supernatural, Carry On, was finally airing, and I was sitting down to watch it, and he was mentioned twice again. Once in Dean's conversation with Sam, where he said they had to move on, and another in a passing comment from Bobby in heaven. And yes, in the finale, both brothers die. Dean dies first and stays in heaven for a bit. That's where this scene happens.
So Jack did all that. Well, Cass helped.
Don't pretend that you're straight.
Now, I don't want to get into my feelings about the finale. I get that some people liked it. I do, but I didn't. And I'd honestly rather not dive into that rage once more at this point. The show's over. There's no point. I have to say, I liked Jensen's telling smirk here, though. You can tell he did his best with what he had. Thanks for that, Jensen. And that was the end of Destiel. What? I can hear you saying. There was no conclusion to the whole thing. Why did Castiel even confess if you weren't going to give us a direct response from Dean? What was the point of 11, 12 years of queerbaiting unless to... Oh. Just as I said before, the 1518 Despair gave a lot of LGBTQ+ and others who shipped Destiel fans, including myself, hope. I had kept in touch with the show consistently, but many came back because they were curious. What was to come? Destiel was canon! How was Dean going to react? Were we finally going to get what we've been waiting for? For 12 years? And I think that's what disgusts me the most, is that the show consistently queerbaited for 11 to 12 years. Years. They made fun of and criticized fans who shipped it, both in real life and reflected in the show. They forced the best friend narrative down our throats at every opportunity because that's what they were. They were best friends, you guys. Best friends. Why would you think anything different? They made fun of and essentially insulted the fans for years on end until many of them ditched the show because they couldn't take it anymore, which was completely understandable in their position, and I feel horrible for anyone in the LGBTQ+ community who was let down by this show. Because even after ridiculing their own fans, they gave us that confession scene. Was it for the fans? Or to supply a reason for the show to not get repercussions for a decade of queerbaiting? We'll never really know the true answer because the writers will probably never tell us. For the best, probably, because at this point, I think I know the answer. I call this Queerbaiting 2.0 because, well, that's what it is. Supernatural queerbaited Dean and Cass's relationship for 11 to 12 years, over a decade, gave us that confession scene to reel us back in, and then never delivered. They queerbaited a queerbait. They literally baited all the fans with his beautiful, moving confession, and then never talked about it on screen again. And never brought said queer character back on screen after killing him off. That is disgusting. And honestly, completely unacceptable in 2020, even if you didn't ship Destiel or didn't like it in general. You cannot queerbait for over a decade, cannot stress that enough. Give us a partial resolution and then kill off the one confirmed queer character. That's the thing, right? Confirmed. Castiel was confirmed. He would confess in a way that honestly sounded like wedding vows. And Dean, conveniently ambiguous for people who weren't searching, for people who hadn't been looking into every tiny detail of a character to prove a certain point. They gave us subtlety. After years of insulting us and saying it would never happen, they gave us one full confession and subtlety. Tiny little things that could mean Dean reciprocates. The thing is, Destiel has dealt with subtlety for 12 years. All the fans have dealt with subtlety for 12 years. That's not what we deserve anymore. We earned Destiel being addressed. We earned Dean saying literally anything on the topic. Anything. We earned a resolution. A solid, untouchable resolution that homophobic people couldn't dispute, that no one could dispute. That's what we earned. Yet we got subtlety. So in the end, the show kept the bury your gays trope because, in the end, Castiel, the only confirmed queer main character, never showed up on the show again. And Dean was left ambiguous enough to not disturb the homophobes, and subtle enough to give the LGBTQ plus fans what we'd always been getting. One of the most disappointing things was what Dean Winchester would have meant to the LGBTQ plus community. If Dean, the manly man of men, who seemed to be the epitome of a man in all the cliche ways, was something other than straight. Sure, it would have caused havoc for the homophobes of the show and the fans who watched for cars, violence, alcohol, and women, but what it would have done for the community? To provide such a man that was so looked up to, made to be an American hero as a queer character? It could have changed the world, started a conversation, pushed a little more acceptance into some people, helped people learn to love themselves, allowed people to think being not straight doesn't mean I'm any less manly because Dean Winchester was the same. And it's heartbreaking to miss out on that. Now, before you go to the comments, I do not approve of the many works of Destiel fans. Some have crossed too many lines in involving the cast family and the cast too far into their fantasy world. That's unacceptable behavior, and it always will be. But just because of that doesn't mean the audience deserves what they got, because they don't. They had time to do it right. They had time to fix it, but they didn't. And in leading crowds of LGBTQ plus fans back to the show, they let us all down one last time. And honestly, I will never forgive them for that. And for the finale, but that's another topic for another day. Anyway, on that depressing note, go drink some water. Go listen to some music, eat your favorite snack, and have a great day. Find some good LGBTQ plus rep. You deserve it. Feel free to comment below and maybe subscribe if you enjoyed this long rant. Goodbye, and I'll see all you rags and riches in the next one.